All right, let's talk about virtual reality golf. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the biggest name in the space, Golf Plus, to try and answer one really big question. Is it just an awesome video game, or can it actually make you a better golfer out on a real course?
I mean, that's the dream of VR sports, isn't it? A simulation so real that it actually trains your muscles and your mind for the real deal. But how much of that is hype and how much is reality? For golfers and VR fans, that's exactly what we're going to find out.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about why golf is kind of uniquely a perfect sport for VR. Think about it. Unlike soccer or basketball, where you're running all over the place, golf is stationary. You stand in one spot, and it's all about the mechanics of one single motion, the swing. That makes it a whole lot easier to recreate convincingly inside a headset.
And this right here is why VR is such a game changer. You know those fancy traditional golf simulators? The ones that cost tens of thousands of dollars and take up an entire room? Well, VR golf, and specifically Golf Plus, completely flips the script. It's way cheaper, you can do it in your living room, you get a full 360-degree view, and, this is a big one, it actually simulates putting really well, which is something those expensive sims often struggle with.
So that brings us to the undisputed champion of the VR golf world, Golf Plus. We're talking over 1.5 million players. This thing isn't just a game anymore, it's basically a massive virtual country club.
And make no mistake, this is not just some arcade game. Golf Plus is the official, exclusive VR partner of the PGA Tour. I mean, that's a huge deal. It gives it a level of legitimacy and access that pretty much no other sports VR title can touch. They're positioning this as a serious platform for serious golf fans. But let's be honest, the biggest hook? It's the courses. We are talking about playing on the holy grails of golf. You can tee off at the old course at St. Andrews, walk the fairways of Pebble Beach, take on the island green at TPC Sawgrass, survive Pinehurst No. 2. I mean, the list just goes on and on. It's like having a passport to the best courses on Earth.
So, what's this all going to cost you? Well, the base game is a one-time purchase, about $30, and that gets you 3 courses to start. But if you want to play all those legendary courses, you have a couple options. You can buy them one by one for anywhere from $5 to $15 a pop, or you can get the Golf Plus Pass. That's about $10 a month, and it unlocks everything, all 40-plus courses.
And look, the endorsements don't really get any bigger than this. When one of the best golfers on the planet, Rory McIlroy, who also happens to be an investor, says it's as real as it gets, you start to think, okay, maybe this really is a top-tier simulation. But, you know, hype is one thing. Let's switch gears from marketing to actual metrics. It's time for a little reality check backed up by some real science to see if the game lives up to that claim.
And this brings us right back to our main question. We've seen all the cool features, we've heard the big names, but does swinging a super light controller in your family room actually translate to lower scores on a real-life course?
To find out, we're not just guessing. We're looking at a 2025 study from the journal Virtual Reality. Researchers put Golf Plus under the microscope to see if its physics were actually good enough to tell the difference between players with different skill levels. So the first test was for something called broad construct validity. Don't worry about the fancy name. It's a simple idea. Can the game tell the difference between a real golfer and somebody who has literally never picked up a club before? It's the most basic test of realism you can do. And the answer? A resounding yes. Just look at the chart. The experienced golfers were averaging about 12 over par. The non-golfers? They were way up there at almost 28 over. So the takeaway is clear. The game's physics are absolutely good enough to separate the golfers from the newbies. It passed the first test with flying colors.
But then came the much harder test, fine construct validity. This one asks a much tougher question. Okay, the game knows a golfer from a non-golfer, but can it tell the difference between a great golfer, say a scratch player, and just a pretty good golfer, like a 15 handicap?
And here's the kicker. The study found, no, it couldn't. There was no significant link. A player's real-world handicap didn't predict how well they'd score in Golf Plus. The game's physics, while good, just aren't nuanced enough yet to pick up on those subtle differences that separate good from great. So, what does that actually mean for someone trying to use this to improve? Let's get practical and talk about where VR can give you real gains and where it might even hurt your game. You see, skill transfer isn't just one thing. There are 2 big types. You've got the physical transfer, the actual muscle memory of your swing. In VR, the jury's still out on that one because of the simplified physics. But then you have the perceptual cognitive transfer. This is the mental game, course management, shot planning, reading the wind. And for that, VR is an incredible training tool.
And you see this exact split when you talk to the community. On one side, you have true believers in the physical practice. Here's a user on Reddit who says they learned complex shots in Golf Plus that directly translated to their real-world game. Amazing.
But then, you get the other side of the story. This user played only in VR for a couple of months, and when they finally went to a real course, the weight difference was so jarring that their real clubs felt like a sledgehammer. It completely threw off their swing. So how do you fix that? How do you bridge that gap between the virtual and the real? Well, the community has pretty much landed on the answer: hardware. The problem is that a standard VR controller is just way, way too light. The solution is to get a weighted club attachment that's designed to feel more like a real club. If you get one that weighs about the same as a real pitching wedge, it makes the switch back and forth a lot more seamless.
Okay, let's bring this all home. After looking at the marketing, the science, and what real players are saying, what's the final verdict on Golf Plus?
So at the end of the day, where do we land? Golf Plus isn't really just a game, but it's not a perfect simulator either. What it is a phenomenal social platform to play with your friends. It is an elite training tool for the mental side of golf, for strategy and planning, and it is an absolutely fun, immersive way to play courses you might only ever dream of. But what it is not, at least not yet, is a perfect one-to-one replacement for practicing your physical swing.
And that leaves us with one last really interesting question. Okay, Golf Plus might not perfect your physical swing today, but as this technology gets better and better, as tracking gets more precise, as haptics get more realistic, are we looking at a future where the best place to practice golf is no longer the driving range, but your own living room? It's something to think about. That's all for this one. Thanks for watching.